Let's see.
Welcome to Making More Money for You with Magnus Carter. Whether you feel that you don't have enough money to start investing or are under the preconceived notion that investing is only for the wealthy, Magnus and his expert guests are here to help you. Now here is your host, Magnus Carter.
Oh, good afternoon. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Making More Money show with your host, Magnus Carter. That's myself. We did I actually did my first solo show last week, and it was kind of interesting because I went back, listened to it, and there's a lot of stuff in there that jumped from one topic to another. So it all talked about us being our own investors, whether it was time, money, emotions, love, whatever it was. We are all investors, and there's some tips and tricks out there to keep in mind when you're investing in other people and other things. But today we have a very different show. It relates to the time of year we're at, especially in the Northeast and Northwest regions where it's sunny and we get rain instead of snow. We can actually be outside. I have with me Jesse Apollo, author of Urban Gardening, and we're going to talk about planting a garden when you don't have space and growing money with everything that you put into your back, wherever you decide to put vegetables or whatever you decide to plant. Welcome to the show, Jesse.
Hi, Magnus. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, how long have you been gardening?
As an adult, maybe about 10, maybe 15 years now.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I started digging in the dirt with my parents because I was forced to go pull weeds and all of that fun stuff. And little did I know they were teaching me about gardening then. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a lot of people do that for a pastime. And, one thing you do get to do is you get to eat what you grow. Am I right?
That's absolutely right. That's correct.
Okay. So which area in the United States are you located in? So we have like a generalized idea of what it's going to be like for this topic of urban gardening.
Well, right now I am in the Southeast. What most people or our gardeners who know, I'm in zone 7, 7, 8 actually, because it keeps moving, but I'm in the Southeast where it's
Okay.
92 degrees today.
Wow, 92. I think it's up here in the level in the great Northeast. It's like in the 80s, but the humidity has been horrible. Especially with the last couple rainstorms we've had come through, and there's actually more coming. But out of your experience of gardening and whatnot, what made you decide to write a book about it?
Well, you know what? So if we back up pre-pandemic, I wanted a lemon tree because I love lemons. So I did some research and bought 2 lemon trees, and I was in love. I bought 2 lemon trees, and then I bought a pomegranate tree, and then I bought a pineapple pear tree. And I know you said vegetables, but it really started with my fruits. Then I bought a blueberry bush too, and I was just having really good success with them. And I was just like, okay, if I can do this, surely I can do some vegetable gardening, but I definitely don't have the space that my parents grew up on or what I grew up. We're talking, almost an acre of land where I didn't even have that. I don't even think maybe a quarter acre. And where in the world am I going to plant a vegetable garden there? So I realized that just doing some research and talking to different people and just looking around and seeing what other people were doing, I realized that I didn't need all of that space. When you do different things like container gardening, and that really worked for me because it allowed me to move my containers wherever I needed them to. And since we moved over the years, I was able to still take my veggies with me. So I really love bell peppers. I love growing them. They're really easy to grow. They do come with some issues like every vegetable does, but I've learned how to combat them. So beyond wanting to teach people how to start gardening. I think that was the biggest issue, was just people knowing how and where to start. And like anything, understanding that it's okay to ask for help and to find a support group. And that's why I started my Facebook group, Small Gardening for Beginners. So
Okay.
um, I just, with all my knowledge and experience, and with me, especially being back in the city,
Mhm.
um, I could really use my knowledge and put them in a book, because people started asking me, well, how are you growing this? And how do you do this? And what do I use? I'm like, well, doggone it, let me just put it in a book. So that's where it began.
Okay.
So
All
yeah.
right. So you're doing it from your your life experience here, because you have gone from the giant area, an acre of land's quite a bit, especially for a small home garden, and a lot to take on and a lot to take care of. But urban gardening, where does urban gardening come from?
Well, it comes from just what it says, urban. Those areas that are within the city, you're not going to get a lot of land, if you have any land.
Okay.
Um, and really, what it was founded around are those areas that are considered food deserts. So, meaning that they don't have access to fresh vegetables. If they do, they look like they've been beat up in a boxing match, or they're super expensive. And I just, that's where it comes from. So, just teaching the people who live in those type areas, or even in a small apartment, or places like that you don't have a lot of space like you would out in the suburbs. That's where you get the phrase urban gardening from.
Okay. Okay. That clarifies a lot of things, because a lot of people are out there. I was like, okay, well, I don't live in an urban area. I live in a suburbs or a city, and you qualifying all of that, as some of it is decided to have s- it is actually defined as an urban garden, but it's just a more technical term in the business. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. Uh, so with everything that's going on out there, in the world, and shortages and whatnot, it is now a good time to actually start getting into urban gardening and gardening in general, especially this time of year.
My goodness, Magnus, that is an understatement. Now is the time to jump into gardening, especially with everything that's going on in the world. People are, one, they're tired of being in the house from, COVID,
Mhm.
outside and into the fresh air and sun, especially when you can't be close to your family and friends. I don't know how people are, acting with that right now, but it definitely helps you get out. The other thing too, with inflation, guess what? Your yummy little bell peppers are not $1.99 for three. It's more like, last time I saw, almost $4 for three. That's ridiculous. I can spend a lot less money on seeds and get 3 to 4 or 5 times the amount of bell peppers than I would in the grocery store. So that, and it's just a healthier way of living and eating. So I highly encourage anybody, even if they claim, I hate this phrase, I don't have a green thumb, I got a black thumb. No, you just have two thumbs. That's all you have. So I highly recommend it. Even if you don't succeed, try it again. Don't my biggest advice to anybody who wants to start gardening is start small. Start
Okay.
small. People think of gardening and they think they're going to go out and plant rows and rows of collard greens and, melons and bell peppers and zucchini and all of these other luscious things. No, not for your first time. Maybe one or two, your favorite veggies,
Okay.
especially. And then, start from there. Watch it grow, watch it, develop, and, take care of it, understand how it works, what it needs. And, when you have your first harvest, you'll get that that confidence that you need to continue with more vegetables and whatever. So that's my number one thing. My second one, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Okay.
Don't
Well,
be
I'm going to ask a couple questions about getting started here. Is what is one of the lowest maintenance, hardest to kill type of vegetable or plant out there for someone to start out with?
Ooh, mm. Well, let's see. If you try hard enough, you might be able to get some mint. Mint is very invasive, but
Okay.
very good, but very invasive. So I think that is the hardest. But so far as a vegetable,
Or
mm,
fruit, whichever. Because I know a lot of people that have, from personal experience, that have tried growing all these great vegetables that they love and whatnot, but they keep killing them and they give up. So what, out of all the things out there, what is one vegetable that is, like a pest and tries not to die, or it's very hard to kill?
well, you know what? I have tried recently to kill some collard greens, which I thought I did, but daggone it, they kept growing. I'm like, what is going what? Finally, after I stopped paying it complete attention, I did nothing to these collard greens because they were in a pot, or grow bag rather. They finally flowered and nothing else. So at that point, it had become an experiment for me, because I love the experiment, love it. It's the fun side of gardening for me. But I just want to see what they do,
Okay.
and yeah, that was fun. I don't know if I answered your question because I'm thinking, what can I do next?
All right, we'll get back to that. But while you're thinking on that topic, is what are some of the things that are needed to start an urban garden, like sunlight, like how much space or contain? How do you start an urban gardening?
Start in urban gardening first with a plan, and that's with anything in life. You got to have a plan. So first, you want to pick your favorite vegetable.
Okay,
Number
which we're trying to figure out what is hard to kill.
one to kill.
Yeah, that's a curveball right there. Not gonna lie.
Let me marinate on that for a
Okay.
bit. Start with a plan. Find out what season you're in, because of course, different vegetables grow in different seasons.
Hmm.
Meaning, like, and I know I'm really bad on this. I was supposed to be planting my lemon cucumber. Still haven't done it yet, but I'm going to, and I have not gotten out of season yet.
Okay.
I am in the grow zone that I'm in. I still got a little bit of time and a work. As opposed to someone up north, they might be a little bit out of luck right now to plant some lemon cucumber seeds. But anyway, that's beyond point. But okay, what did I say? Pick your favorite, have a plan, pick your
Right.
favorite. Figure out what you're going to plant in, because, and I say that because, and we're talking specifically about urban gardening. So you don't
Hmm.
have a space, or do you have space to plant in ground? Do you have space to have a raised bed garden? Do you have space to have your veggies in pots, grow bags, or whatever? You can grow them in. Make sure you have all that. Number one thing too is soil. Do you have the right soil? You need to do your research and make sure you have a good soil base. You need to know also where is your light, your sunlight during the day.
Okay.
That's very important. Photosynthesis, you can't live without it, whether you're planting outdoors or in. And you can plant indoors. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, I can't. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. They're called grow lights. And that's definitely something that I address in my book. So
Okay.
don't think, because we can. And there's something I want to bring up in a little bit. But also, you have to make sure you're going to be able to get water to wherever you're planting your veggie. It always has to have water. And one of the biggest things that new beginners do, they overwater. You don't want to drown your vegetable. So you just have to understand how it needs water based upon where you live. Like right now, where I am, it's 92 degrees as a high, maybe 97. I want to water mine at least once a week, a good watering, a good soaking, and just let it, as opposed to if it was cooler, I wouldn't water as frequent.
Okay.
But those are the things that they definitely want to start with as a minimum, as a basic.
Okay, so we got a good base here. We need to know what kind of plants we're doing, how much space, and you definitely need a container to house the plant in because you can't have it sitting on your dining room table at the moment. Well, you can, but it has to be in the container.
Yes,
Okay.
not, not on your plate.
But
So
not on your plate. Plates do not work as well.
yes.
Okay. So we got that. What are some of the benefits? Well, like you were saying before, a lot of people have from being cooped in and whatnot. What are some of the mental aspects of actually being able to go out and do urban gardening? I know a couple shows back, we talked about investing in your mind, investing into being mindful and being present at the time. How does urban gardening bring that to the table uh, to bring better physical and mental well-being,
Great
wealth,
question.
if you will?
That's great question. Well, we know the most precious thing we all have is our health. If we don't have our health, we have nothing. So gardening is an excellent way to increase, improve, and grow your mental health. And I say that because you're physically moving. And I know people are like, it's not exercise. Yes, it is exercise. Trust me, you carry enough soil bags around. Trust me, you'll. But just digging in the dirt, I don't understand the mechanics, the chemistry about it, but it is very relaxing. Just to feel the sun, feel the air, it makes you slow down and breathe and relax, to be focused on something else besides yourself and the problems that you're, face on a day-to-day, basis. So, and that's funny, I like to call it playing in the dirt, like you did when you were a kid. So now that, a little older, playing in the dirt is actually, something that's helpful. So it helps clear your mind, and just it helps you relax. Just like people are like, oh, you should always exercise. I agree, but sometimes you don't want to hit the gym. You don't feel like walking.
Right.
And gardening it gets all of it done. You're exercising. You're even though there's like you can't relax when you're dragging dirt around or potting. Yet yes, you can. Believe it or not. Like I said, you're focusing on something outside of yourself, and that really does a wealth of good to your mental state. And I definitely know because before I was in corporate America, oh my gosh, you talking about stress. Oh, it was very stressful. And my garden it really helped me to decompress from having to, you know, deal with the stress of work and what's due tomorrow, what do I have to get done, so it just took me out of that space and got me into a better headspace to deal with, what's coming the next day.
So you talked a lot there about that, especially when people start looking at this as work. What are some tips and tricks to fool your mind into making this into a pleasurable thing instead of like a work thing?
Mm. Hey, if you have some friends, grab them and say, hey, let's have a gardening party. Let's, what do they call it? They have those parties called sip and draw. Well, we're going to sip and garden, just have some, come play with me in the dirt again. So
Okay.
that's definitely one,
Mhm.
get some kids, get some friends, have someone to help you do it. That's definitely one way to do it. The other is just, for people like me, I like to experiment. Just, whatever you find that you want to experiment on a seed, experiment on, is it going to grow? Just like I think I was telling somebody recently that I found a video that said, okay, if you cut out the cucumber seeds and rinse them off and put some, what was it, cinnamon on them, put them in a wet paper towel and put them in a bag, they should sprout in 3 days. I'm like, stop, get out. I tried it. They hadn't sprouted yet. So, okay, maybe I did something wrong. Let me go try it again. So while I'm digging seeds out of cucumbers, I have cucumbers to go into my cucumber salad. So I think it's a win-win all the way around.
Did you use cinnamon on your cinnamon as your cinnamon? I know people are out there thinking about it. It's different.
It is different. No, I'll try next time though. That'll
Okay.
be okay. I like it.
Someone out there is thinking it. I know I'm thinking it. So it would be definitely a good question to ask right now for that part.
Oh, you know what? You remind me of the grocery store. They'll have vegetables on one aisle and ice cream right across the aisle. I'm like, how cruel is that?
Well, you're keeping temperature control right there. When the door's open, it keeps the fruit or veggies fresher.
Yeah.
Granted that ice cream's 2 for $5 and cucumbers are 3 for $7 right now. It's kind of
Exactly.
It's a hard choice. It's a hard choice.
Well, if you grow your own, it's not a hard choice. Get the ice cream and have your cucumbers at the same time. So.
But have you mixed them together?
No, sir. No, sir. I'm sorry. I'm sure someone has thought about it. Oh, I was telling you about the zucchini cookie. I am going to try that one day. I'm going to try it.
I'm looking forward to one.
I'll try it. I'm going to try it. I had zucchini noodles the other day, so.
Zucchini noodles are actually pretty good. I'm a fan of them. Definitely use them as a pasta substitute.
Yep, exactly. I had some. That's exactly what I did. I put my creamy garlic shrimp on the top of it.
Yeah, that does sound good too. Now, we're talking like urban gardening is as a personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen projects and communities actually come together and do this type of thing. So what would actually be entailed? Are there a lot of benefits to actually doing it as a group or community, to doing that instead of doing it by yourself or doing it both? What are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question. And yes, there are major benefits of doing it as a community. One, you get to meet your neighbors and you get to meet the people that you see on the street and maybe have never spoken to, but you guys have a common interest to grow food. So together you can get it done quicker than you tilling dirt by yourself, or you're planting seeds or seedlings by yourself. You have someone there to do it with, and that promotes community, the community spirit. It also, if you have kids involved, it teaches them life skills of working together, hard work. Being outside is better than in front of your whatever video games they're playing or social media platform they spend their time on. And it gets you the fresh food that you're looking for. But remember when I was talking about earlier, the food deserts. If
Right.
we happen to live in that type of environment, we can use those plots of land that aren't being used, with permission, of course, to turn that land into something that's beautiful and thriving at the same time to feed the community. So I think it's a multifaceted benefit as a community, for a community to work together. I love it.
Okay, so not only doing it by yourself, but actually meeting other people if you decide to, is definitely a way for mental health.
Yep.
What do you say?
Yep. Exactly. And it's the social aspect of that too. As humans, we do need that, to socialize with each other. It helps keep us mentally balanced. So that's definitely a help as well.
Okay. That's definitely interesting right now there. Um, on the fact that communities actually do that. One place I know that we see when we're visiting somewhere is like New York City. That would be on the rooftops, if I'm not mistaken. They do gardening as well, as long as the landlord lets you, or as long as the landlord doesn't know you're doing it. And I hope there to begin with. So how does that differ from where gardening there differ from where you're gardening at, where you're living right now?
Um, Elevation. If
Okay.
you apartment building and you're on a roof, it's definitely higher than where you would be, in a house. But other than that, there is no difference. Soil, water, sunlight. They have to be present for all three if you're doing traditional gardening. Now,
Okay.
if you're doing hydroponics, that's a whole different ball game. Water, your container, and the nutrients that the particular veggie needs. So the apartment, I love rooftop. It can work for anybody who's interested in that, making sure that the water is close to your garden, so
Mhm.
you get it hydrated easily and quickly. But the people in apartments also, you can garden on your balcony. You can garden inside your apartment as well. Like I was mentioning before, grow lights are definitely needed if you're growing indoors, if you don't have lots of sunlight coming in. But if you're on a balcony, you can definitely garden if you're getting good sunlight. One of the positives of growing on a balcony, you get less insects, bugs, those big pests like
Like that.
chipmunks, deer. Unless they're deer and climbing up, the steps, you won't get them. And just, I remember I was telling you the other day that I had a cucumber plant growing in my front yard. We just moved and it was gone.
Yes.
Guess what is gone? What's
Did
going
someone
on?
steal it? Did someone come over? Did you get them on camera that they actually came over to your house, dug up this cucumber plant, and took it from you?
I'm going to blame the community deer came and ate my cucumber plant. Because at first I was yelling that our maintenance people had whacked my cucumber plant, but my husband's like, no. And we checked the tape and it was a deer. So
Hmm.
let's always cover it up when you see it instead of waiting. No, I'll get to it. No. So
Don't wait.
on your balcony.
Okay. Yeah, don't leave them out on the front where deer can get them. Understood, or rabbits or any other vermin.
Exactly. But
That could
vermin, brought that up. We need to talk about that.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we're almost out of time at the first part of the show already. It already flew by. I have Jessie Apollo here, writer of Urban Gardening for Beginners. We talked about some of the background that she has. We've talked about what our urban gardening is, where to do it, where not to do it. Communities, as communities start urban gardening for socialization, for uh, being a community, actually to provide food, which we'll get into the second part of the show of why we actually do some of the gardening here. And on top of that, we found out that you have to protect your investment right there, especially from deer and other animals and all and whatnot. We're going to talk more about that in the second part of the show. But as for right now, we're actually running low on time. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back with Jessie Apollo, we're going to get right back into urban gardening and how it's going to actually make you money as well. I know people are wondering, how is this going to make me money? How is this on your show? What does it have to do with this? How relevant can it be to me? We're going to get to that in a couple minutes. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you after the commercial break.
You're clear.
Cool.
You are clear.
That was fun and interesting.
It always is.
Oh, funny. Oh, but okay. So I saw the other day the people in urban areas are beginning to garden in trailers. They're doing hydroponics in trailers. Brilliant idea.
Are you
Um,
sure it's not the special thing that you're growing in there?
no, I promise you, it was nothing but lettuce. That green stuff.
Well, they call it lettuce.
Trust me, it was lettuce. I thought, but
Or tobacco. Tobacco's a lettuce.
oh, I guess you are right, huh? Oh, is it a herb?
Oh, it's an herb. Okay.
Oh, I'm asking you. I don't know.
I don't know. You're the specialist here. I'm not.
Vegetables, not.
I just eat things.
Well, shoot, at that rate, as you can see, so do I. But besides the trailer, they are, and I forgot which city this is. They're dedicating complete buildings to do vertical gardening.
Yes, we will get into that.
That is amazing. I'm like, if you can do that, why is the world hungry? I don't understand. I don't.
Because of money.
Okay, we are. Yeah, yeah, you're right. But
All right, we're coming back.
Okay.
quick commercial.
Mhm.
You're listening to Making More Money for You with Magnus Carter. If you have any questions for Magnus or his guests, join us on the show at 866-472-5789. That's 866-472-5789. Now back to the show. Here is Magnus Carter.
Hello, everybody. We are back for the second part of the Making More Money for You show. Growing money in your backyard. I have an author here and gardening extraordinaire, Jesse Apollo. And the first part of the show, we talked about what urban gardening is, why to do it, some mental, some physical aspects of it that actually can help you out in those areas as well. But we're actually going to get into the main reason why you actually decided to tune in. One, you probably read the book, or two, you actually wanted to get some insight from why the book was written. But Jesse, welcome back to the show.
Madness. I appreciate it.
Oh, excellent. We had a great conversation through the first part of the show. Now let's go into a little bit deeper type of things here. Is how can doing urban gardening in such a small area help make these listeners here and anybody else that reads your book more money?
Well, you know what? As we mentioned before, and I think I've talked to you and maybe some others extensively about this. I'm always one to complain about this. Vegetables are expensive in the grocery store. I mean, just hands down. Again, my favorite bell peppers. There's no reason in the world why 3 should be almost $4. You want to save yourself some money? Plant those seeds. Take a bell pepper, cut the top off, harvest those seeds because you get hundreds from one bell pepper. You can save some of them. You can plant the others, and just one seed will garner you at least 10 to 15 other bell peppers. If that's not saving, I know I'm not a super math whiz, but I think that's some savings right there. I think over time now, one thing I do want people to know that it's not going to save you money overnight. That's not how gardening works. But if you invest the time up front, pretty much like investing in the stock market,
See,
you'll get your returns on the back end. So definitely that way. Grow your own food is a lot cheaper. And because it's from farm to table, you don't have to sit and wait for it in transit, because they're adding their, fees and things like that for having the food transported across the country or wherever they're getting it from. They are also probably charging you for treating the vegetables so they're last and look pretty in the grocery stores. You don't have to worry about any of those other expenses being added on to the cost of the vegetables if you're growing it yourself. And it's healthier. You know where it came from, what it's been treated with. If anything at all. Also, if you're growing a vegetable that is a high producer, you can definitely one sell its seeds, like I was saying before. If you save the seeds from just one bell pepper, you can share those seeds or sell them. You can propagate the seeds for seedlings, and you can sell those seedlings. You can sell the bell peppers themselves at farmers markets or a yard sale, or even they have different restaurants that tout that they are locally sourced foods, veggies, and homegrown. Well, I would encourage anyone to engage with the restaurants, stores, anyone like that, and say, hey, I'm growing an organic garden. Would you like to purchase these vegetables from me? That's another way. If you're looking for Christmas gifts for your loved ones, you can possibly sell your veggies if you know how to dehydrate them, or pickle them. Or if you're growing fruit like strawberries or blueberries, you can turn those into jams and make gift baskets or birthday gifts out of them. So you're making money that way. There's a lot of ways you can make money with your gardening adventure. So I did dedicate a chapter about how to make money with your vegetable gardens. It was chapter 8, one of the last chapters. They give you a listing of the different ways you can make money with your vegetable garden, but that was just a few right there. So.
All right. Well, you talked about a lot of points right there. First of all, people that are new to the gardening world, what are some other high yield vegetables? So people don't overplant and then they get over bombarded with all these things and wonder where everything's going, and I can't do anything, and people start crying because they have no idea what to do with all this food.
Outside of sharing with your family and friends. Yeah, don't yes, no.
Well, people will only take so many of your vegetables. I have noticed. Well, yeah, peppers are one of them. Aren't cucumbers like tomatoes, those type of, yeah,
Whole your squashes, all of those type veggies are
pumpkins.
yeah, they are your high yielding fruits and vegetables. Yes.
Okay. Anything that can produce massive amounts,
Yeah.
because if you one like, let me guess here, from my gardening days, from actually doing it, one vine of cucumbers will give you what, like 30 cucumbers on average. Just so people put this into perspective, well, they have 3 cucumber plants, 3 for $5, so I planted all 3 of them. Bad idea, don't do it.
You have the space, go for it. No space, no, don't do that. Give it away as a gift, sell it, something. But yes, those high producing veggies, you definitely, if you can plant a few, that's fine. But then when you harvest, you definitely either sell, cook, pickle. I have a friend, now that I sit here and think about it, he and his wife are great at storing and pickling vegetables for I guess survival and prepping. I think that's what they call it. So
Okay.
that's definitely something that people want to think about as well, in adventure of in gardening. Looking at those survival and prepping techniques, you can apply that to gardening. So I highly recommend people, think about that as well.
Well, that's true, especially if you have multiple kids,
Yeah.
for cooking as well. People constantly cooking something, going to the grocery store. The grocery store bills are ridiculous right now. Even if you use the coupons and you use everything and buy things that are close to out of date because you're going to use it, it's getting out of hand. And I know for myself and quite a few other people, particularly, that they hate going grocery shopping. I'm for one of them because I don't want to deal with the bill afterwards, but I got it. We have to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, another way, you know what? My favorite thing is gardening because I grow herbs as well. My favorite herb is rosemary. You talking about hard to kill? There you go. I mentioned mint first. Rosemary is
Mhm.
another. I love walking out on my deck and snipping a few pieces of rosemary to put over in my eggs in the morning. Best thing in the world. Um, Cheaper than going to the grocery store and buying there because it's like $5 for just a small container. I have 4 big containers of uh, rosemary right now, and I started growing them 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, still
Wow.
proper. Love it, love it, love it, love it.
Okay.
So,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, I didn't realize. Yeah, you brought up a great point with that as well. It's not just all about vegetables and fruits. Herbs. Herbs are a plant. Everybody just goes to the spice aisle and grabs this little shaker thing, and it's like, oh, okay, I got all the herbs I need forever. And there's an alternative to that, which is growing them, and they
right.
don't take that much space to grow.
They don't. And you can grow them right on a windowsill, as long as you have that sunlight, give them some water, depending upon their, watering needs. Boom, right there. You got your own seasonings right there in your windowsill.
Hmm.
So the other thing too, I wanted to bring up as well, if people thinking of herbs, you can make your own herbal tea from growing your herbs. That's another thing. You want to make money, people love teas. Chamomile tea, mint tea, those type things. If you're growing it, turn it into a tea, sell it. Those
Well,
type.
that's that is a fantastic point, is because some of the herbs and whatnot could be used as medicinal purposes, or the old home remedies that work, or supposed to work, or whatever. That you can actually do that as well, is to get the ingredients ready for whatever and post it out there. It's like, oh, okay, I have this and this. We can make a tea out of it and go to town. Tea you can actually grow as
Yep,
well.
yep, exactly. Yep. And they're easy to grow. Herbs are very easy to grow. So if some beginner wants to start out with an herb and a veggie, I think that is a great, great way to go. Great way to grow. But,
That's that's very catchy right there. So great way to grow things. Hmm. Interesting. That's intriguing. Now, over the break, while our listeners were out on commercial break, we talked about people. Not only this is very scalable. It
mhm,
can go from your tabletop or a windowsill all the way up to, uh, I'm gonna say, to warehouses. One place in particular that is very pronounced in doing this is Disney.
mm,
My last trip down to Disney, after walking, your 5-10 mile, almost 10 miles for the day down there, there's a boat ride that's in land, in the land area,
mhm.
land building, is where they take you on a little boat ride where they actually do their hydroponics, is what we're talking about. And they do vertical gardening, or urban gardening, but it's industrialized. And on the tour itself, they specifically say that all the fruits and vegetables are grown in Epcot.
Wow.
Everything they use from vegetables is grown in Epcot. They don't buy
They're
out.
they are saving themselves lots of money and making lots of money
Mhm.
at the same time. That's nice.
And
That
they
is,
can and they can say it's all organic and all this other stuff, and charge the premiums for it and be healthy,
yes,
and they already have the manpower to do it.
right, exactly. So why can't we do the same thing? We can. It just takes a little bit of effort and confidence that you're able to do it. And that's all. Again, I stress to people who want to do this, fine, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Mhm.
Be
Okay.
not afraid to ask for help. And don't give up if your first attempt fails. Everybody fails at something at some time. Not everybody's going to go out and grow, acres and acres of land of veggies. off the first go round.
Well,
Start.
those acres and acres of veggies are diminishing because of development.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Hence urban gardening. So the other thing too, it was funny because we were just talking about that too. Um, we were talking about the warehousing of veggies, and I mentioned too about their vegetable or hydroponic gardening in trailers. I'm like, that's a great, recycle of just some space that was sitting there. And that's the other thing that I mentioned in my book. People tend to think that gardening can be expensive, and it can. If
Okay.
you high end, top end pots and tools and everything, that's great if you want to spend that kind of money. But I mentioned too in my book how you can upcycle some things that you already have in your house. For instance, I love the little egg trays that you get, good brown eggs, you get about 24 in there. I just cut the top off, punch holes in the bottom half, and sit the top under the bottom, because that it will become your drip tray, but it'll
Okay.
also continue to feed the seeds when they need the water. It will be absorbed up through the little small hole, whichever is needed for the seedlings. But I think that is a great way to start out with 24 seedlings. Very easy to do. I started out my last set of bell peppers in a cleaned out, washed bucket of my cat's cat litter. Once it was all gone, I washed and sanitized it, and I filled it up with dirt. I poked some holes in it so the water could drain, and I put my seeds in there, and up they come. It was the best. It was very exciting to watch. Now, I highly recommend that people don't stuff everything in a small container. That vegetables do need space. So if you're going to use a container, 1, 2, 3 max, depending upon the size of the container. But again, that's something discussed in my book. I could talk to you about that all day long, but I won't bore you with that.
No, it's not boring. It's very insightful about how even recycling and saving the planet and saving and cutting down on your trash bill is also another thing that to look into as you are looking to start gardening,
Oh,
because
got something else for you too. I'm glad you said that. So trash, everybody has some, you're cooking, you have, eggshells and, scraps of food. Well, guess what? That is called compost all day long. So I know if you don't have the space, you can still buy those little small cans that you can just start composting all of those, your scraps that can't compost meats or bones or anything like that, but definitely your veggies. Believe it or not, even the toilet tissue rolls or the paper towel rolls on the inside, they're compostable. So instead of
really.
yeah, you throw them over in a compost pile.
Hmm.
They're made of wood, and wood is definitely something, sticks and grass and things like that can definitely go over in your compost pile. It's great nutrients you can give back to your plants. So definitely it's kind of like the circle of life. I know that's so
I don't have the opening here, or I would have played that as you said that. I would have had it ready, but I would have probably got nailed for copyright infringement for doing so. So I'm kind of glad.
but yeah, it's a wonderful thing. Something definitely that people can do. Something easy. You just gotta be willing to try. That's all.
But if you start composting things, so that diminishes the purchase of fertilizer then,
Mhm.
because that's what fertilizer does, is just give nutrients back. But if you're doing it naturally, that's another cost you can actually eliminate.
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. There you go. So if you see your neighbor or someone down the street getting ready to throw out grass clippings or sticks, ask them for it. take it, throw it in your compost pile, because it will definitely feed your garden. It will definitely ecosystem that's growing for you.
Okay. That's definitely worth knowing right there, that you can save money by doing everything that you've already using and disregarding already. So that would save quite a lot of time too, because now you're not going out to the store or going to the hardware store and buying it and then lugging it and getting it all over your car and having dragging your kids with you to try to go get it. So that makes a lot of sense. That makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense.
About kids, I think the fun thing with them is, see what you can upcycle in your house.
Okay.
I've seen the most interesting thing, like old baby diaper changing stations people have used as a garden.
Mhm.
I've even seen this jeans and underwear as container gardens.
Hmm.
I know it sounds weird, but it actually works. So
Okay.
yeah, I've never thought about planting anything in my jeans, but hey, I'd be willing to experiment with that. But
Well,
don't throw away those old forks. They can definitely help when digging in the dirt. Spoons, those type things. So
okay. That's definitely great knowledge right there. And I can't believe we're already almost out of time.
uh,
Can you
wait,
I am dead serious. I just got the notification. We have gone through almost the second half of the show already, talking about how gardening and planting in your backyard is making you money. And we definitely covered that aspect of it, because you can sell them, you can give them away, you can uh trade, you can do bartering with your vegetables and with your time. And it's
yeah.
it's amazing that even the full product of it, or actually certain parts of the plants that you've done, you can also sell as well. And it's all stuff that you can do with things that you have around your house. So, Jesse, I want to thank you for being on the show, because this is very insightful about this. And especially this time of year, because this time of year people do have their garden started. But like you're saying, in certain areas of the United States, or even in the world, because we're worldwide right now, is that they can plant whenever, but they have to do their research on it. So, can you tell everybody out there where we can actually get more information on this, and where to find you in case we have we have questions, so we can actually make this the best we can actually make it.
Okay, well, of course, first start good research is Let's Start Your Urban Gardening the Right Way, my book, because I've done some research for you. I've lived a lot of what I talk about in that book, so that's a good resource for you. Also, if you go to jessieapollo.com, it will take you to where you can get additional resources to understand where your grow zones are, understand what to plant, when to plant, depending upon what zone you're in. It also will talk to you about the different pests and how you can combat them organically. Also, if you do, I know everyone's on Google, Google it, YouTube it. You can definitely use those as great research options.
Oh, okay. So that's okay. So we got your book, we got a website, we can join your Facebook group
Yes,
to get you. What's your
yes,
Facebook group name again?
it is Small Gardening for Beginners.
Okay, perfect. That is great news. And where can we buy your book at?
Definitely Amazon.
Okay.
If you just type in my name, Jessie Apollo, Apollo with two P's, it will definitely come up there.
Oh, fantastic. That's amazing. So this show, we have discussed what urban gardening is. We've gone through why it's good for your health. So the aspects of how it will help you socialize as well in your community and actually build community, uh,
Mhm.
as well as going through why it's better to to grow your own foods instead of going to the grocery store or farmer's market or whatever. And on top of that, we've found, little niches and ways to make money as we do this, because time is money. Everybody has a certain amount of time, and we have very little, spare time anymore with everything and anything that's going on in all of our lives. We have your resources from Jesse Apollo, from jesseapollo.com. And, it's wonderful for having you on the show today, Jesse. I thank you for taking the time out.
Thank you for inviting me. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Well, that's it for the show today. But next week, we're going to talk about how you can actually take your exercising and your mindset of exercising on the road with you as we go through with my next special guest on the Making More Money for You show. Make sure you tune in next week. Have a safe week. Enjoy this lovely weather out there, and plant a tree.
Yes.
So thank you for all turning in. This is Magnus Carter from Voice America, Making More Money for You. And we'll talk to you next week.
Bye, Magnus.
All right, you're clear.
Awesome.
All right, you both have a wonderful week. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, Josh.
All right.